it.
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Hello and welcome to Political Platform. My name is Amechi Anapwe. Of course, you can get us live on Ray Power FM, AIT Abuja in the evening, and much later. Of course, you can also get us on AIT International. You can also go to our YouTube channel, AIT Political Platform, to, of course, view this edition and previous editions. So many events, development issues breaking out in the polity, all centered on anti-corruption campaign. Finally, the president yesterday sacked the suspended SGF Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachi Lawa, and DGNIA Ayoke, and appointed Boss Mustafa as a replacement. Many Nigerians are saying the president needs to do more. He must carry the report and hand over to the EFCC the same way he carried the report of the Special Investigation Committee he set up to look into money allegedly meant for prosecution of the anti-corruption of the insurgency campaign in the Northeast to the EFCC. Some people said, is it because it is the PDP people that were concerned that the president handed over that document to the EFCC and has not done so, even though a statement came from the presidency last night saying nothing stops the EFCC, ICPC, and even the police from taking action, that the president will not be stopping them. These are some of the issues. The new man, who is he? President Goodluck Jonathan has, of course, joined issues with Olisa Metwe in the court case where the court has issued a subpoena for him to appear. He says if the court fails to vacate that subpoena, which he has, of course, made an application for, the court must then, as an alternative, compel Olisa Metwe to deposit 1 billion naira with the courts to, of course, cater for his logistics, for his movement from his Otuoke village to the court in Abuja. Him, of course, his retinue of aides and security agents providing cover for him, that if the court should insist, then that money must be made available. He also provided many reasons why he should not be appearing in court. Now, another leaked memo from the presidency, the memo the head of service, Winifred Oyoita, sent to the president in response to the letter the president wrote to her, asking her to immediately before the closure of work that day to indeed brief him on the circumstances surrounding the reinstatement of Abdul Rashid Mena into the Federal Public Service. In that leaked memo that was published by a newspaper this morning, the head of service said she warned the president on October 11 after a Federal Executive Council meeting about the dangers of reinstating Abdul Rashid Mena. Does it mean that the president was aware of the reinstatement of Oyoita? Does it mean that the president was aware that efforts were being made, a grand plan was in place to indeed effect his replacement? Yet another leaked memo. So many leaked memo from the office of the president. Adebayo Bodori is with us in the studio this morning.
Yeah, a night of, or a day, let me call it a day of long knives. At long last, Babashi Lawa was sent packing, and Oketu was asked to go home. Well, good decision, bold decision, but very, very belated, because the issue dragged on for too long. On issues like this, I think swift actions supposed to be taken, particularly in an era when we are fighting corruption. And just asking them to go, and that EFCC and the ICPC can go after them, I don't think it's enough. Clear presidential directives supposed to be given on what to be taken, on actions to be taken by the anti-graft agencies on these two people. And because we need to know the truth. Was that grass cutting contract inflated? Were people's payments
into certain accounts?
Payment into private accounts, and all the rest, I think the nation deserve to know the truth. And then as regard the discovered money in the flat in Ikoyi in Lagos, we also need to know the truth. Who owns that money? Does the money belong to NIA or does the money belong to individuals? I think we have not done enough. A sacking is not just enough on this matter. Well, I think APC seems to have woken up. The president, who was acted very fast yesterday in holding meetings with key officials and all the rest. After several months of speculation whether there will be a national caucus meeting or NEC meeting, and it eventually took place. The caucus meeting took place yesterday, and the consultations were also made. If they are holding the national convention in February next year, it also raises critical questions, because the tenure of the present National Working Committee of the party will end in June. Will there be 2 conventions next year? But I think one critical issue that I noticed yesterday from my observation and reading of what took place is that I think Ahmed Bola Tinubu seemed to have been pacified. If you look at the new secretary to the government, he's an ally of Tinubu right from their days in
ACN.
No, not ACN. The aborted Tory Republic. They were strong members of the Social Democratic Party then. And they tarry along, they play along all along that period. And when AD eventually was reduced, his power was reduced, and ACN came up, he was a national vice chairman of the party.
Okay.
And a member of the campaign committee, of presidential campaign committee of the party before the formation of APC. So it seemed from the statement of Tinubu yesterday that he has implicit confidence in the president, and that everything about rift between them is fake news. Well, we need to take it as fake news because they seem to have. Is he cementing or papering the cracks?
Of course, there are no more in every political situation. Let's welcome Ijeoma Osamo to the program.
Yes, Amechi, I would like to first of all commend the president. Like the spokesman to the president says, that what they are doing is going slow and steady, winning the race. But there's something I need to mention here. If the zeal and zest they used in running after those who are involved in the Dasuki Gate, if they can use it now, then people will not have doubts about the anti-corruption war that President Muhammadu Buhari is fighting. I think the president needs to do more. These persons that have been found guilty, not guilty yet anyway, that have been alleged to indicted, they should face the same music and dance that most of these people who went to jail without trial. They were jailed, they were detained, and they were taken to court, and they are still facing court. Their names are even stained, that even up till now, it is like something has happened to my name. I still think persons like the former SGF, and Meina should face the same music. Let Nigerians know that this president is actually a president that we voted for. And there's this statement coming from the APC that at times I sit down to want to imagine. The APC members keep saying 16 years of PDP rot. Who were the people in that 16 years? The present Senate president was a PDP member. Most of their leadership and those in the APC now, they were PDP members, so they were part of the wrath for 16 years. And if you say we are cleaning the wrath for 16 years, that means you are indirectly telling Nigerians that I did this for 16 years, and you should be part of those that will go into the cleaners.
Mustafa Mohammed is also completing our numbers here.
I mentioned, what is this social media turning into? You see flying documents about alleged corruption. People not writing to the ICPC and the EFCC, yet they will go to the social media and begin to publish documents as regards alleged misdeed of public officials. I'm saying this as regards papers, that became so hot on the Facebook as regards the alleged financial misdeeds of the chairman of the Hajj Commission, Abdullahi Mukhtar, that the commission had collected money for wristband for Hajj in 2016, and then the wristband was not provided, the money was not refunded. They are publishing these documents all over the social media. And my take on these issues is, these are government officials. or even a contractor, if you have anything against these people, write to the EFCC, go to the ICPC. The issue of publishing documents as regards government officials on the social media, you know, actually question your intention, because the money which is said to have been involved is around over 1 billion. Will any public official be allowed to change citizens or government? No. So those who are carrying out the anti-corruption crusade against Hajj Commission should know where exactly to go, because the social media is not police, it's not court, it's not ICPC or EFCC.
Well, it may be due to lack of confidence on the part of the anti-corruption agencies that force people to do it. And of course, there's a whistleblower policy. Before, it's just the mainstream media that have that privilege of having access to people. Now that it is the citizens and media, people have access. Some will say it's part of the whistleblowing policy and it's part of their contributions towards the ongoing anti-corruption campaign. The EFCC's, ICPCs, have seen some people who said they have sent in petitions and nothing has been done. Those mentioned were not invited by the EFCC. This may explain why people go to this extent. But let's hear from you before we get to all these stories. And let's feel your own pulse after we take this short break. Please don't get away.
Bust it!
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
It's the male segment, and I am Ifeinwa Nwobi.
And I'm Amaka Okoro. Welcome.
We'll begin with a reaction on the dismissed SGF and DG of NIA. This is coming from Samisa, who writes from Suleja in Niger State. And he says, I listened with satisfaction to the news about the dismissal of the suspended SGF and DG of NIA. This brings to rest, finally, the saga that seemed not to end. However, contrary to the claims by PDP that this decision is a slap on the faces of Nigerians, I must say, though it may have come belatedly, it is still the decision we Nigerians were all expecting. It is worth noting the comments of Mr. Femi Adesina on a private station afterwards, confirming that both the EFCC and ICPC were already investigating the duo, and that the president cannot, even if he wanted to, prevent them from carrying out their constitutional duties. Therefore, for once in this administration, closure has finally been seen in a corruption case.
And still in that light, Henry Nkpado from Abuja has this to say. There is no point celebrating the sack of Mr. Lawal and Oke, SGF and DGNIA respectively. It was long expected. It is overwhelmingly clear that pressure led the government into taking this action. The question now is, what next? The EFCC and other anti-graft agencies should act immediately, and it should be medial trial inclusive, which has always been the strategy of our anti-graft agencies. Otherwise, the insecticide and deodorant style of this administration's fight against corruption, as postulated by Senator Shehu Sani, will be what is playing out. May God save my country.
Still in that light, but Chijoke Obioma in Abuja says, if the president has to initiate prosecution and arrest, then Nigeria is no longer in a democracy, or Nigeria has been paying failed institutions with taxpayers' money for years. It's time we began to task our institutions to do what they have to do. The president has done his job by sacking the man he hired. If that was what they were waiting for, it has been done. Now they have to do their job. EFCC, ICPC, police, judiciary, and the rest. No more hiding behind the government. Let the institutions do their job.
And more reactions. This one is coming from Wale from Ogun State, and it says, finally, the president has put an end to the question on what he's doing with the report submitted on the SGF's case. Yes, we agitated for it, but the president lost a very rare and golden chance of making a clean statement on his anti-corruption crusade. How sweet would it have been if this was done a week after his return from the United Kingdom? However, I consider this announcement as diversionary and distracting. The current issue is the MENA Gate. He has another opportunity to act swiftly and redeem the image of his anti-corruption crusade and not wait for 5 months. By taking things too slowly,
there is no way he could have proven to me that if he were in Goodluck Jonathan's shoes, he would have handled Boko Haram swiftly.
And that's it on today's mail segment. Keep sending your contributions to us. Send them through to politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Busted.
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Thank you so much for remaining with us. It is a season of leaked memos to the president. The personal letter Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, wrote to the president last year got to the media. And just after that, another letter from Ibe Kachukwu to the president also found its way to the media. And this time around, a letter from the head of service to the president has also got into the media. Is it the RAS issue that our listener was indeed making reference to? Why suddenly are these memos flying around? The memo from the head of service says that indeed it was a response to the directive the president issued to her to quickly, within the closure of work on that day, the MENA gate broke, to explain the circumstances surrounding the reinstatement of MENA. In that memo, she said she warned the president about the implications of a reinstatement of MENA and the negative effect it will have on the anti-corruption campaign. It was on October 11, she said that she raised that issue with the president after the Federal Executive Council meeting. Now, she did not indicate in that response what the president said, but it's presumed that since the letter is going to the presidency, the president should, of course, remember what transpired between them. She walks off her hands from the incident, saying she never in any way got involved in that planned reinstatement. Now, the questions are, is the president aware? If he was not aware, the warning from the head of service to the president was, what did the president do with it? Did the president act on it or kept quiet? These are some of the big issues. MENA Gate still on. The SGF case partially solved according to some people. But let's bring in a legal practitioner, a very senior lawyer, barrister, Goswe Uyoke, to help us take a look at all these developing stories. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So what's your take? Let's start with the sack of the SGF and the DGNIA. What's your take on it?
Well, I would say that these matters are not necessary. Of course, all matters have legal and constitutional implications against the backdrop of the purpose of a state. And the state should, as a matter of fact, as determined by the agencies of state, the presidency and all otherwise, should do things, implement policies that will enable the people to have faith and enhance the unity, faith, and peace and progress of the nation. We are looking at all of this within that perspective. However, we have to look at these matters within against the backdrop of the acknowledged personal principles of the president, or his body language, and of course, the policy plank of this administration, which is the fight against corruption. And of course, when you what one would have expected is that to show some seriousness, apart from personal discipline of the person of the president himself, there must also be equal personnel discipline to ensure that they buy into the policy of government, into the principles of the leadership, and this is what will be required to be able to get the buy-ins of the generality of the people. But what is going on right now is the fact that there are conflicting signals. People are now beginning to wonder whether or not the government is actually serious about this. Is it a fight that we should be part of, or is it business as usual, or is it that we continue business as usual? The only thing that we need to do is to ensure that we get immunity by joining the political party. So that is what the political party in power, so that we be immune against anti-corruption cases and all that. That is the major issue. It raises one very strong moral issue, moral question. It raises a lot of legal issues, and constitutional, a constitutional question as to whether or not the government, the political party in power, is doing things to promote the essential purpose of the state, which is welfare and security. Why do I say this? Apart from the fact that these corruption cases...
Let me come in this way. Let me come in this way. Now that they have been sacked, particularly the DGNIA and the former secretary to the government of the federation, and the statement from the presidency yesterday said ICPC or EFCC can take action. Is it enough? Is it the kind of direction that we should be expecting from the government when the details of the panel's findings are yet to be made public?
Well, of course, whether or not the details have been made public, the question is what is the effect of the findings. Well, in as much as some of us want to believe that the report, the findings, or the effect of those findings coming up about 6 months after the report was submitted is a little debated. But they say, I mean, if what ought to have been done yesterday is done today, well, we have just started now. Let us commend the effort of government. If they were sleeping before, one would say that they are woken up. The question is what ought to be done? It's not the issue of the report now, but what ought to be done? We expect that the ICPC ordinarily should have taken action. The EFCC ought to have taken action. You don't need to wait. These are institutions of state. These are institutions that were established by law. They have a separate existence. Their life does not depend on the presidency. One would expect that notwithstanding the election otherwise from the presidency, they should do the needful. That is what we expect. It shows that what it shows that there are institutional...
Many Nigerians have asked questions, have had doubts about the way corruption is being fought, looking at some of the cases that Nigerians are currently debating. Do you see the events of yesterday bringing back the confidence of Nigerians as regards the president's anti-corruption war?
And I think so. I want to believe that if you realize the extent of despair, the frustration, disappointment at what many perceive as the attitude of the president, which one could excuse on the state of affairs at the time. If there are such actions, we should begin to see them as positive. It seems as if his improved health has increased, has enhanced some of our expectations. And I think that's the perspective from which we will need to look at them. But the most important thing that I expect that we should begin to look at is the attitude, the involvement of certain institutions of state. The DSS was mentioned, the EFCC was mentioned, and of course the Ministry of Internal Affairs, which is a very powerful ministry in the present dispensation. It is one that controls the police, under which you have the Interpol. It controls other security and paramilitary operations. And of course, it has very close liaison with the DSS, which is a very powerful, indispensable security operative within the context of internal security and defense. It means, therefore, the lapse in DSS could compromise across board the effectiveness, efficiency, and integrity of other security operatives. And to find out that they were actually involved in the process of granting protection to MENA and all that is an issue we should interrogate further. And the involvement of the Minister for Interior, it should equally raise a lot of questions we should interrogate, whether or not by virtue of his orientation, he was a former military man, and he represented an institution, the military institution, the army, that does not pay so much regard or respect to other paramilitary organizations like the police. And is it a deliberate policy of government to weaken the other security operatives? These are the issues we begin to ask ourselves right now. Because
how do you react to the revelations coming from the memo of the head of service to the president, suggesting that the president was aware of the plot to reinstate Mena?
Well, what I see there is the fact that of some weaknesses within the administrative system in the presidency. The government the president should reject it. Because the fact that somebody collects a letter, you don't give any letter directly to the president. Anyone can receive a letter, okay, we have received it. And draws the president's attention to see what he wants to see, know what he wants to know. So the people in the presidency are the ones that actually will house the knowledge and information available to the president. And of course, before he acts, memos are sent. If you don't draw the president's attention to anything, he wouldn't. Unless the head of service, as I would expect, had opportunity of holding personal audience with the president, because of course, if you raise something in a memo, the president could say, oh, it's an important matter, let us see, and hold court on this matter privately. Except that, but what has become so manifest is the fact that there are systemic lapses in the presidency. It does not help our system, it does not promote the state, and we should begin to look at that and see how to correct it.
Okay, we must thank you so much, Barrister Willie Yoke, for your intervention.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Well, it appears that we have come to the end of the program for today, but of course, the consensus is that apart from indeed sack of this SGF and the DGNIA, the anti-corruption agencies must stop the practice of waiting for the body language of the president and swing into action. Nothing stops them even from up since the Senate came out with his own indictment, his own report, very comprehensive. He asked me, nothing stops the EFCC, ICPCs from taking action, but they folded their hands and pretended nothing was done. And now that the president has sacked the SGF and the DGNI, would they on their own take it up as their constitutional responsibility? And of course, we also expect something more to be done on the minor gate. Of course, more revelations now coming up. One is appearing to indict the president. And of course, the what we have on ground already, the roles played by the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of the Interior, of course, who should know these issues. Having a PhD in criminology should, of course, be aware of the implications of the plot that took place. But we'll wait for further clarification from the presidency responding to the head of service memo. Of course, the content saying the president is aware and what the government should do on Maina Gate. Thank you so much for being part of it. On behalf of my colleagues, my name is Amechi and I will continue to be a good citizen.
Bust it!